Sonny Gray was short, but sweet as he and the Cardinals get back in the win column against Washington. Plus, we're going to do some more trade chatter on today's episode of Locked On Cardinals.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily St. Louis Cardinals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, Cardinals fans. I'm JD Hafford, and I'm your host for Locked On Cardinals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, covering your team every day. Follow me on X at JD Sports Radio and the podcast at LO_Cardinals. We're also on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. Find us at Locked On Cardinals. This is a show serving Cardinal Nation and giving the best fans in baseball all of the info about the birds on the bat. I don't know about you guys, but I am freaking sick of brain. How about you? My gosh, I am not a meteorologist. I'm friends with a bunch of them, so maybe I should ask them this, but is this like the most rain like in a summer ever for us in St. Louis? Like, holy crap. It's the hottest summer. It's got the most rain. It's been brutal. Humidity has been brutal. It's a rough go right now. And last night, Mother Nature was like, hey, you know what? Let's shower you down with a 2-hour, 19-minute rain delay. That sounds like fun, right? No, not fun at all. But the Cardinals and Nationals ended up finally getting on the baseball field last night and playing some baseball at around 9 o'clock St. Louis time. And Sonny Gray was on the bump, which was a good thing because I was a little nervous. You know how Sonny is like very much into his routine and stuff. I was a little nervous that something was going to happen and he wasn't going to make the start because that's just, I just expected the worst. Let's put it that way. But he was there, made the start despite one, I guess we can call it a rocky inning. It really wasn't that bad. He was pretty darn good once again. Third inning, Nats got things going after a walk to the number 9 hitter. I don't have to tell you that's a bad thing to let happen. Jacob Young draws the walk. Quick kid. Never want to do that because, you know, that flips the lineup over. Now you got your best hitters at the top of the lineup normally with a runner on base. So, but it happened. Nats made Sonny pay for it. They did it like in a very gentle way, though. It's not like they were smashing line drives all over the diamond last night. They just hit the ball and put it in play, and it found some holes. Abrams singles in the empty hole at short when Mason was covering second base. That puts runners at first and third. James Wood singles up the middle on a ball that Sonny deliberately made sure that he didn't touch it because he had a fear of, you know, screwing up a double play ball. You see it happen a lot where the double play, it looks like it's going to be a perfect roller right to the second baseman or shortstop. And then you'll see the pitcher like stick his arm out and he deflects it and it screws the whole thing up. It happens a lot. This time, Sonny doesn't touch it, and that backfires because he probably could have turned 2, but instead he lets it go because he doesn't want to screw it up, and ball ends up going through the hole. That scores a run. Luis Garcia taps one on the infield. Fielder's choice play brings in a second run. The exit velos on all of these balls put in play. Abrams was the hardest hit ball at 92.9 miles per hour. Wood was next at 85.1, and then Garcia's was at 73. So nothing special at all. But when you put it in play, we've stressed this many, many times. You put it in play, you don't strike out. Put it in play, things can happen. And the Cardinals found themselves in a 2-0 hole just like that. And with the way the Cardinals have struggled offensively, you were probably a little bit worried that, are we screwed? Are we going to lose a Sonny Gray start because we can't hit again? But Sonny remained calm and pitched well the rest of the way. He wouldn't yield anymore. And the Cardinals, as they often do, end up punching back and score 3 of their own in the bottom of the third inning. You had the beautiful line shot from Victor Scott II, the laced ground ball, or not ground ball, but ground rule double that actually it would have been a triple, no problem, if it hadn't bounced over the wall. So Victor kind of got screwed that time. But follow that up with a Brendan Donovan home run, his 8th of the season. That was a laser to right field, first pitch swinging. It was actually up and out of the zone. It wasn't even a strike, but he was ambushing fastball. That's what he was looking for, and he didn't miss it. Ties things up at 2. Mason Wynn follows with a bloop single to right, and then Alec Burleson yanks a double down the first baseline. Mason Wynn with that good speed scores all the way from first base to make it 3-2. 4 straight hits to start the inning, and just like that, The Cardinals are back in business. They got a lead, and they would not relinquish it. Lars Nootbaar adds an insurance solo home run that just got over the wall in right field and over the glove of the right fielder in that 6th inning. But my dad used to always say, doesn't matter how far it goes over the wall, just has to get over it, right? Counts as much as a one that would go 450 feet. Cards end up winning this one by a score of 4-2, which obviously put us all in a more pleasant mood after waiting so long for that rain delay. Coming into the game, we talked about how lefties have had success against national starter Jake Irvin and how he's been susceptible to the long ball recently and given up 10 home runs in his last 7 games. And you can add 2 more to that total with the home runs from Donnie and Newt taking him out of the yard. Nolan Gorman was the only lefty in the lineup that actually didn't have a hit last night. So a little bit of a bummer. They kept beating Gorman up with the fastball. So he's got to make sure that he's not chasing that one. But they get the – it's not as if the offense exploded though, right? 4 runs on 7 hits. Not really that great, but it was enough to get the job done because the pitching was on point on Tuesday night. Sonny goes 5 innings, 2 runs on 5 hits. Strikes out 6, 70 pitches, though. And there was a little concern initially among us who were watching the game, like, why is Sonny done so quickly? But it didn't appear that there was any injury issues, and that ended up being true. That it had nothing to do with that. It was on short rest, which we know. They wanted to get him 2 more starts before the All-Star break. The routine that Sonny normally goes through all screwed up because of all the different rain delays. He said they actually, it was like every 30 minutes, they would say it was either canceled or not canceled, and they kept going back and forth. So it made sense that he was coming out because of all of these different, things going on with this particular start. Some of the fans were chirping about the short outing online, but I thought it was great that Sonny came in after that, and he was like, look, I am gassed. He's like, I just don't have anything. And instead of, going out there and trying to be a hero, he told his manager, like, look, I don't have anything left, man. I'm wasted right now. So he goes to the bullpen. I thought that was great. It was an overall very long night at the ballpark, and that's why you have a bullpen, which was pretty well rested after getting blasted on Sunday by Chicago and then the off day on Monday. So I'm glad Sonny spoke up, and it worked out. It worked out. Ali pushed all the right buttons. So honestly, us complaining that Sonny didn't go far enough into this game, we're really bitching about nothing. Because it didn't matter. They won the ball game. Bullpen locked it down. Matz, Maton, Romero, Helsley each got an inning. Helsley did his normal make everyone nervous routine in the 9th inning. He goes 0-2 on the leadoff hitter. Josh Bell ends up walking him with a 2-run lead. That's a big no-no and really annoying. Then it's a couple of more loud outs to the outfield. Victor Scott made a couple of nice catches. Helsley, last couple times out, has really explored the space of the outfields, hasn't he? The Cubs hit a couple of deep flies on him before he picked up the save there. Same thing happened in this game with the Nationals, striking a couple balls pretty hard and singing it out to center field, and Victor Scott had to make the catch. Then there's a single before he finally got the final out of the game on a ground ball to Mason Wynn at short. 23rd come from behind victory for the Cardinals, tied for the 5th most in baseball. So that's good. I do have a suggestion for Helsley. Instead of coming out to Hell's Bells, maybe Helsley should switch it up. Maybe come out to CNC Music Factory is going to make you sweat. Instead, seems more appropriate because every time he comes out on that field, I am sweating bullets. Like I can't even watch. I'm watching through my fingers because I'm so nervous that he's going to mess it up. But he didn't. He gets the save at the end. 4-2 final. Cardinals gain a game on the Cubs, who got smacked in the mouth by the Minnesota Twins. Brewers won over the Dodgers again. Brewers are brewing, dude. Man, it's a tough ball club, and Cubs better watch it. I'm not so confident the Cardinals can catch the Cubs, but those Brewers got some things going. And you got the Miz, and you got Brandon Woodruff back into their rotation now too. And if he stays healthy, they're going to be kind of nasty. Reds got blasted by the Marlins again. They can't seem to score any runs. Pirates lost on a walk-off to the Royals. So only 2 teams in the division pick up wins, Cardinals and the Brewers. The real bummer was that the Phillies weren't able to take care of the Giants out west. They get a walk-off inside the park, 3-run home run by their catcher, Patrick Bailey, to win their 4th straight. Padres robbed 2 would-be home runs and hang on to win 1-0 over Arizona. So the Cardinals still remain a game and a half back in the wild card. But happy vibes, right? You get the W. Speaking of Helsley, though, this leads me into something else I want to get to today. We're going to keep doing this pretty regularly as we lead up to the trade deadline. Helsley's name keeps popping up around the league in trade rumors, trade discussions, trade ideas, whatever you want to call them. So we're going to scour the internet real quick and come up with a few things that people are talking about that has to do with your Cardinals and possible trade scenarios. So we'll get into all of that coming up next on Locked On Cardinals. If you're running a business, you think that, every missed call is going to be money left on the table. You don't want to see that happen. That could be a possible customer. You don't want to screw that up, right? If somebody's calling you and they need some help, you want to be there right away, and you don't want to miss out on things. So having a reliable business line, it's very, very important if you got your own business. And that's why if you are somebody who's got their own business, OpenPhone is what you need. OpenPhone is the #1 business phone system that helps you streamline and scale customer communication, all from an app on your phone or your computer. If you're one of those guys or gals that's juggling 2 phone lines, you got a business, you got a personal, got to keep them separated. No, OpenPhone will fix that instantly. Your whole team can share one number and respond to customers, such, like a shared inbox, right? Where everybody sees it. And that way you're all staying on the same page together. And they've also got the AI agents, which can handle the after hours calls, answer common questions for customers, impossible customers, and capture leads so that you never miss a customer again. OpenPhone is offering Locked On Cardinals listeners 20% off your first 6 months at openphone.com/LockedOnMLB. So take advantage of that. That's OpenPhone.com/LockedOnMLB. And if you have existing numbers with another service, OpenPhone will port them over at no extra charge. OpenPhone, no missed calls, no missed customers. Thanks again for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. Leave your comments on YouTube and on X anytime you want. Feedback always welcome and encourage, the good and the bad, whatever you got for us. We're here to listen. The trade deadline is in a couple of weeks. I'm sure you're well aware of that. So you're starting to see more and more. I don't want to say trade rumors because they're not really rumors as much as they are just kind of trade ideas. You go to, people writing for The Athletic or the Post-Dispatch or anything, obviously they're going to throw some ideas out just to get conversations going. Blog writers do it. They submit trade ideas, and I'm guilty as anybody. I love reading them. It makes me excited. Sometimes it makes me nervous, but genuinely, it's a lot of fun. I find it very entertaining. May not be the most realistic trade ideas, but it is fun. And I got a couple of them here that I want to discuss. We're going to start with Ryan Helsley. And you know the drill with Helsley by now. Contract is up at the end of the season. Coming off a big year last year. This year, it's been a lot tougher. Things haven't gone quite as smoothly for him. But here he is with 18 saves. He still throws 102 miles per hour. That's going to attract some teams. Some GMs are going to be like, ooh, that looks good. And plenty of teams are going to be looking for bullpen help. One of the teams that has been looking for help seemingly since day one of the season has been the Philadelphia Phillies. They lost Jose Alvarado to a PED suspension, so he's been gone for 80 games. It was about a month ago, so he's still got a lot of time going on that one. And when he does come back, he's still going to be ineligible for the postseason. They can't use him in the playoffs anyway. So that's bad. So you're down that guy. And then Jordan Romano was the one who blew the save last night against the Giants. People are sick of him. Talking with Connor Thomas from Locked On Phillies, he's very frustrated with his bullpen. Was even saying last night, like, dude, you're not going to win anything in the postseason with a bullpen like this. He doesn't trust anybody. So they're all worked up. And that's when you as the Cardinals can strike and take advantage. When somebody's desperate and things aren't going well for them, you got to know when to jump in there and say, hello, we've got some pieces over here. How would you like to make a deal? So this would be, it would make a lot of sense for Helsley to go to Philadelphia. And I know what you're saying. Cardinals aren't out of it. Why would they trade Helsley now? Because if you're not going to sign him at the end of the year, you better get something, right? If he's going to test the free agent market, you're not going to pay up for what he's probably going to get. He's probably going to get priced out of your range. So you should probably think about it. Get something for him. Jim Bowden from The Athletic agrees that the Phillies would be a spot that makes a lot of sense for Ryan Helsley. And he was taking suggestions from readers at The Athletic. And this is what he had to say about a possible trade with the Phillies and Ryan Helsley. Says, considering the Cardinals are still within striking distance, a reasonable return for the reigning NL reliever of the year, according to Bowden, would be second baseman Aaron Escobar, I think is how I pronounce it, and then outfielder Griffin Burkholder. MLB Pipeline ranks Escobar and Burkholder 6th and 9th, respectively, in the Phillies system. So 2 top 10 guys for Ryan Helsley, which when you see that on the surface, that sounds good. Now I know what you're thinking as well here. It's because, wait, what? Second baseman, infielder. Last thing the Cardinals need is another infielder. Because when they're healthy, they've got Arenado, Wynn, Donovan, Gorman, Sajaci, top prospect J.J. Weatherhall knocking on the door of the major leagues, right behind them now at AAA Memphis. But Escobar is 20 years old, still in high A, so it's not like he's someone who would impact things right away. Hit 338 at rookie ball last year. Was hitting this year 285, 11 home runs, 42 RBIs, and 10 stolen bases at A ball before getting promoted to high A. So they got a 55 rating on him at MLB Pipeline. So they basically just everything was good, like pretty well-rounded ball player right there as far as speed, power, everything. So would be a nice piece to have. Then Griffin Burkholder, second round pick in 2024. He's only 19 years old and hasn't found much success in the minors so far. But again, he's 19, and the scouting report at MLB Pipeline lists him as big, physical, and athletic. Phillies have taken to calling him Captain America because he can do everything well. So that's kind of a nice endorsement. If you're a comic book person, you know that Captain America is kind of a big deal. But both are very young prospects who won't make an immediate impact. So that probably going to disappoint fans who, want something now. They want some new toys to play with. And if that's the return, some guys and gals are going to be a little upset about that. But again, better getting something like that. 2 top 10 prospects from a Phillies organization. It's got a nice farm system. Get that instead of just letting them walk at the end of the year anyhow. So saw another one from Bowden talking about this on the same write-up. Again, he's taking suggestions and questions from the audience. This one was regarding Nolan Arenado maybe going to the Dodgers. A reader proposed Bobby Miller, who used to be at one time was like the Dodgers' top pitching prospect. And we saw what he did against the Cardinals. I think it was last year where he just went right through the Cardinals and just looked amazing. Hasn't had as much success as people thought he was going to have. Has dealt with some injuries as well. But the reader proposed Bobby Miller or James Outman, the outfielder for Nolan Arenado. And Bowden's response was the Dodgers say no because they're not taking on Nolan Arenado's contract at this point in his career. And they're happy with Max Muncy, who is on the IL, but expected to return from his bone bruise well before the end of the regular season. We know Arenado would love to go to the Dodgers at some point. That's never been a secret. But they said no to him this offseason. It doesn't sound like they're really all that interested in having him at this point this season. Maybe the Yankees kick the tires on Nolan Arenado. You've got the Goldie relationship already there. They've got some good veterans. They moved Jazz Chisholm Jr. back to second base. So that's something maybe to keep an eye on, in my opinion. But again, any trade with Arenado will require his approval. He's got that no trade clause. So he seems happy in St. Louis. And it's not like this team isn't competitive and not having fun and not winning. They're just not a World Series contender at this point. And the idea of having a better shot at winning a World Series ring while his clock on his career is ticking down, that might outweigh his happiness in St. Louis. So it's something to keep an eye on, but we'll see. We'll see. I also saw that our buddy Jeff Jones from the Business News Democrat, bnd.com. If you haven't been there yet, go check it out. Mentioned the Cardinals going after Luis Robert Jr. Belleville News Democrat. Did I have business? I don't know why I said that. Belleville News Democrat. I knew something was wrong there. But he mentioned Luis Robert Jr. from the Chicago White Sox, or maybe Taylor Ward from the Angels to help with their issues against left-handers. In theory, that would make sense. That would be an exciting get for the Cardinals, the Luis Robert one, more than Taylor Ward, who I don't think would move the needle all that much for Cardinals fans. But Luis Robert Jr., the idea of him is that he's a star, even though he kind of is not. You know, his value is down considerably from a couple of years ago. He's having another ugly year in Chicago where they just don't win a lot, and he doesn't look like he's having a lot of fun. He does not look motivated. Just came off the IL. He's been hurt. But when you see him and you see what he could be, you know, you've seen him be amazing. You know, a change of scenery might do him some good. Just get him out of the culture that is the Chicago White Sox. But you've seen him be a star. You know, 2023, 38 home runs, 80 RBIs at a 5.3 WAR. He was awesome. And he was very good defensively as well. And everybody's like, oh, drooling over this guy. It's a guy that we wanted the Cardinals to sign way back when the White Sox ended up outbidding them on the international market. So to get him finally in the fold and have him play, I don't know, right field, left, whatever. You got Victor in center. You don't really need to move him, but have Robert Jr., you know, take one of those corner outfield spots. Although you've got Walker, you've got Burleson, you still got Newt, you've got Donovan who's playing second in left fields too. So it might cause something there, but it's a fun one to keep an eye on. I don't know how realistic it is, but we'll see. I want to talk about tonight's game against the Nationals before we wrap things up. Another lefty with strikeout stuff coming in hot to face the Cardinals at Busch Stadium. We'll talk about him and hit the matchup, pitching matchup. We'll do that next on Locked On Cardinals. Summer sports are in full swing, and whether you're all about baseball under the lights like tonight at Busch Stadium, or whether it be golf on the green, maybe some high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game even more exciting. You're already following the action, so why not make it a little more thrilling? Why settle for just meh? Why not take it to the limits? With FanDuel, you can get in on the game while your friends are out doing whatever it is they're doing this summer, which is not winning with FanDuel, which is what you could be doing. I've been a fan and using FanDuel for years to track my favorite matchups. The app, it always stays fresh with new daily promotions and fun ways to bet, so it just never feels like you're going through the motions and doing the same thing over and over and over. That gets boring. You don't want to be bored. FanDuel knows that. That's why they keep it fresh for you. Very easy to use, fast to pay out, and it makes even regular season games like tonight's game against the Washington Nationals, it's going to make it a must-watch event for you because you're using FanDuel. So whether you're placing a same-game parlay, you're watching a bet right into the ninth inning, FanDuel makes it feel like you're a part of the action and makes it so much more entertaining. You're going to love it. And if you're new to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. So open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. Thanks again for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the new Locked On MLB Game Night, every game, every night, all season long, at local analysis on a national scale. You can find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. I will be on there again tonight, hosting with my buddy John Frisch from Locked On Angels. Maybe we'll talk about Taylor Ward coming to St. Louis. Maybe that's something we can discuss. Tonight's game, Mackenzie Gore is going to be on the mound for the Washington Nationals. Another one of those names that came over in the Juan Soto blockbuster deal. James Wood, CJ Abrams, also part of that deal. It was huge. Gore, don't look at the record. 3-8. Gross, right? But don't look at that. Look at the 3.11 ERA. Look at all the strikeouts. The dude's been a bright spot for the Nats rotation. Cardinals did already beat him once. Pat on the back for us, right? Yeah. Mother's Day, actually, is when it took place. Cardinals got him for 4 runs on 5 hits, 2 home runs. Newt had that leadoff home run in the game. Contreras got him in the second inning. Cardinals also drew 3 walks against him. go on to win that one 6-1. It was a game that completed the sweep behind Miles Michaelis, who was pitching well at the time. But so much has changed since then, right? Newt's not batting leadoff. Michaelis is not pitching well. Gore did strike out 7 in that game, but we know the Birds struggle against lefties, so it will likely be another tough night at Busch Stadium. Maybe take the over in strikeouts for Mackenzie Gore. I don't know what it is yet, but I would assume there's going to be a lot of swing and misses tonight for the offense. But maybe they surprise us again. And maybe they picked up on something in that first time and can take advantage of them again. Andre Palante will get the nod for the Cardinals. He has silently been very, very good recently. He doesn't get a lot of credit. A lot of people forget he's even in the rotation. Excellent his last time out in Pittsburgh. 7 shutout innings, allowed just 1 hit, but the offense took that series off, as you remember, so it got wasted. Palante has only given up 2 earned runs in his last 18 innings. It's pretty good. Whatever he's doing, I hope he keeps it up tonight and helps the Cardinals pick up another victory because, like I said, we need at least 4 of 6 in this final week for me to be happy. And I think that'll put them into a good spot going into the All-Star break. They are hoping to have Nolan Arenado back in the lineup. I have not seen a lineup released yet for today, so not sure if he is going to be in there or not, but hoping he will be. I know he was talking to reporters yesterday, said he was feeling a whole lot better, has played some long toss. The arm feels good when he's on defense and throwing. It's swinging the bat that is where he's got some discomfort. So, but he said he felt a lot better. So with a lefty on the hill tonight, would be great to have him in the lineup. Ivan Herrera also set to begin a rehab assignment on Thursday or Friday, should be back with the Cardinals after the All-Star break, barring any setbacks. Fingers crossed that we don't have any more. Ivan has been hurt too much this year, and his bat is too important. So got to get him healthy and get him back for good. And speaking of the All-Star break, do you guys hear this? MLB announced that they are using the ABS, the automatic ball strike system, during the game at the All-Star. Why? We know it works, guys. We saw it in spring training. I know you're getting a national audience now, but anybody who really watches baseball knows that it's coming. And we wish it was here already because we've seen some terrible games this year from the same guys that usually aren't very good at calling balls and strikes behind home plate. But we know this thing works. We know it's going to be great. You just need to tell your umps to get their heads out of their butts and be better. The ones that are struggling. Not all of them are bad, but it's the same guys. You know, it's CB Buckner and Laz Diaz and Andy Fletcher and Bruce Dreckman. It's the same guys all the time. So tell them to stop sucking. Clean it up, boys. Clean it up. All right. Thanks for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. If you haven't already, give us a follow on X at LO_Cardinals and JD Sports Radio, TikTok, Instagram, Locked On Cardinals. Like, subscribe on YouTube, making that push for 13,000 subscribers. You guys are the best fans in baseball for a reason. We'll see you next time on Locked On Cardinals, hopefully talking about another victory.